check.
If there was a world championship for this, I'd be a sports legend. I'd be a household name. But there isn't. And I wouldn't do anything different if there was. Nitro.
Check.
Good morning.
Check 1 2. Check.
We're gonna try something different today.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Dogs bring out the good in us. Pedigree brings out the good in them.
U.S. Equestrian. Thousands of equestrians have united
to watch,
to learn,
to experience,
to compete. In the pursuit of fairness, safety, welfare, and joy.
From the grassroots to the Olympic Games.
Each with personal goals, but all united together for the joy of horse sports.
Ride united. Ride with U.S. Equestrian.
Time. Perfection takes time. Hours, days, years. Repetition, dedication, perseverance will take you further, lift you higher, make you stronger. Time is measured in seconds. Success and failure separated by fractions. Champions are created in time.
Welcome down to this time to be the company of Longines FEI Topic World Cup champion.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Thursday evening performance of the Washington International Horse Show. Up on the docket tonight, our $72,900 welcome stake. Our first class was just completed earlier in our international division. We saw McLean Ward take the win, and we'll ask you to direct your attention to the Jumbotron, to our video screen for our opening tonight.
My name is Vicki Lowell, and I'm the president of the Washington International Horse Show, and I've been the president for about 10 years now. Keeps me very busy. Washington International Horse Show has always been a very, very special show. It started in 1958 in downtown DC, and it has evolved over the years. It's had a few different locations. It was at the Armory, that's where it started. It was out in Land Rover at the Capitol Center, and then it moved downtown into DC for the past 20 years. It's the Capital One Arena. We just knew COVID was still a factor, and we wanted to be as safe as possible. We had success here with a condensed, limited version of the show.
Hello and welcome to Tryon in North Carolina for the Washington International Horse Show, a show that normally takes place in the nation's capital, finds its temporary home here at this fantastic venue in the Tryon Stadium, set fair to hold today's welcome class. It's our first day of international jumpers. We've had an accumulated competition, but now we see them out with their Grand Prix horses because it's a world ranking class, $72,900, and it is the prelude to the World Cup qualifier. This would act as a rider qualifier if we had more than 40 athletes at the show, but with or without that qualifying aspect, when Bernardo Costa Cabral, the designer, sat down and thought about his week's worth of jumping here, he knew in his mind he needed to set this class up to prepare people for the World Cup qualifier for the award of the President's Cup on Saturday evening. So you can see some of the names there. We've got, World Cup winner Carl Cook. We've got Andrew Burns, who was top 5 in our earlier class. We've got Bert Manley, a former winner of our World Cup qualifier here in Washington. And we go on through the likes of Rowan Willis. Rowan, who's already been off to a great start in podium action at Thunderbird. We've got Richie Maloney, Richie and Roxy Music. Richie's been very successful here at the Tryon venue in the past with a 5-star win. We've got young Mimi Gotchman. Mimi will ride tonight. We've got 3 riders under 18. They'll ride all of the other international divisions, but being under 18, they cannot show in the World Cup qualifier. And we saw that over the last few years with the likes of Lucy Delaurier winning the qualifier class, I think 2 years in a row at Gold Cup in upstate New York, before then not being able to run in the World Cup qualifier. Luis Sabino Gonçalves will be our final rider to go, bringing us up to a total of 8 nations represented in our competition. And Portugal also sends us our designer, Bernardo Costa Cabral. Level 4 designer sets a time allowed of 75 seconds. 13 obstacles, 16 jumping efforts here in the Tryon Stadium. And alongside me, Kim Prince. Kim, who's been training and riding throughout the Washington Horse Show here this year and for many years. But Kim, you've gone in and had a proper expert look at this ring, and you were quite interested in the way he's used the arena and sort of the philosophy of this course, that it comes at you quite quick.
Yes, it's an exciting course because right off the bat there's a lot of jumps all in a row, and as you and I discussed, the jumps are set in the corner and you're not always turning the direction you think you're turning, which I think is an interesting twist for the horses because they assume they're going one way and they're actually not. So I think it looks very fair. It's rainy, which is unusual for Washington since it's an indoor show that is suddenly outdoors, so that's a little bit of a hazard, but the footing is fantastic and the lights are brilliant, so should be good show jumping. Wet and chilly, but should be good show jumping.
And in terms of, we come here at the end of the Tryon autumn season. It's been a very busy showground. The vendors have stayed with us. It's created a real buzz here for Washington, which is so nice. But one of the things that Washington have done this year is they've brought their own materials. Fuzzy Mayo from Tennessee holds the Washington stock, and it's come here. So even if you've been jumping in Tryon all of the last 5 weeks, suddenly now you are at a different horse show.
Yes, that's a very good point. The materials are new and the jumps are different, and it is a very good point. It's a different flavor for sure.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight nest gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, their bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Lizzie Medlin with our national
It's a fantastic
anthem,
start from
and
Lizzie
we
Medlin
are
singing
just
the
about
national
set to
anthem
go.
here
75
at the Washington
seconds.
International Horse Show as we prepare for our first major world ranking competition of the week, the Welcome Stake. And we're going to see just over 40 starters from amongst the world's very best. We've got Ken Farrington, we've got McLean Ward, we've got Adrian Sternicht here, all US team medalists. We've got Olympians like Lauren Huff, we've got major Grand Prix winners like Molly Ash-Corley, all to play for. It's a very, very talented field of horses and riders that we've been attracting here to Washington, as we have done so often in the past in the nation's capital as well. And actually this is one of the few shows in 2020 where we've got a pre-qualified athlete for the Grand Prix, the major competition, which here is the World Cup qualifier, and that's Todd Minicus, because this show actually ran last year. So many of the shows I've been at, your Grand Prix qualifier from the year before qualifies. Most shows haven't run since 2019 with a Grand Prix, so it's getting our head back into that space of having a pre-qualified athlete. But Todd has been in exceptional form here in Tryon, as you'd expect, and Todd, many times the winner of the Puissance, and the Puissance, powered by Land Rover, is our featured class tomorrow after our international world ranking jumpers as well. Well, we're going to start with a rider who has represented the US to Olympic level. She has won most of the major Grand Prix here in North America. She has won every class at the Washington International Horse Show, I think with the exception of that President's Cup. So Margie Golston-Engel for the USA, and Royce. Royce is now 17 years old, and I'm sure he's still full of sport as he usually is. He usually throws a few bucks on his way around.
Royce has really been jumping well this year. Had some great rounds up in Traverse City, and she's just so thrilled with how he's loving still jumping. And you see right off the bat, right up to that double, you got to get out of that turn and up to it.
Yeah, I think Margie probably found herself in the face of number 3 a little bit earlier than she thought. That another rider would have had problems there, but Margie knew enough to get herself out of trouble.
Yeah, and she and this horse know each other inside and out. And this is where he's using the ends of the ring. And that Liverpool is nice and shiny with the rain
just
and
about
the
to say, having had the
spotlights.
rain and the floodlights.
Yes.
In terms of the strides on some of these related distances, Kim, are they relatively straightforward? Are they relatively basic?
It's a relatively straightforward course this evening. I was a little bit surprised, but it's like we said, there's a lot of different conditions going on. The turns are going different directions than you think, and anyway, it's not so complicated and technical.
Looks like the time allowed might be relatively tight, though, with 76 seconds on the clock for Margie. Margie will currently go on to the board as having that single time fault in 76.70. If the course designer and the jury decide, having seen 3 complete rounds, that there is an error of measurement, they will adjust the time. They won't adjust the time simply because people are getting time faults.
No, I think they will probably leave it actually, because he jumped the jumps beautifully, and they're going to want to put a little pressure on with those time allowed being tight.
Coming off finishes this month, first place finish in a 100,000.
So here's Kristen van der Veen with Bull Run's Prince of Peace. Kristen has been a World Cup finalist. She's been a World Cup qualifier winner at Live Oak in the past, and she's a recent Grand Prix winner at Split Rock in Columbus, Ohio. Bull Run Jumper 6 owned this 12-year-old by Cardenio. So we always say it, but even if she is the first to qualify for a jump off, she could easily win this class because she's always fast.
Always fast. I don't care what venue she's in. You saw that line rode a little bit easier for her. And this is into that corner. Then a triple bar right out of the other corner. The horse is jumping beautifully tonight.
And again, in the choice of materials, you know, he set triple bar. It's got that quite flat brown color as well against this surface. And the triple bar often pushes you into the distance, and it's down to a skinny rail, so it's lighter. Any horse that lays a toe on those white rails at the end of that line will take them with them.
For sure. And just as she does, sailing right around this course.
Time is okay, 73.33. That's a little bit more the pace that Bernardo Costa Cabral was expecting from his athletes. And Kristen van der Veen, Bull Run's Prince of Peace, give us clear round number 1, setting us up for a jump off once we get another clear round, which I'm sure we will.
You can see coming around the turn to this triple bar, the horse really flies it.
73.33, the second reference. First reference is 76.7. And we work next as we go to a rider representing Israel. See is Sydney Schulman.
A little bit of a traffic jam at the in-gate there.
12-year-old mare by
Sydney Schulman's going to be our next to go, the Israeli rider who was well placed in the accumulator earlier on. Sid with her own, and Jill Schulman's Villamora. This is a horse that's gone very well at Washington before, actually won the indoor Washington accumulator and won the speed final. Our Saturday class just before the World Cup on the international calendar here.
Coming at the 2019 Washington International in DC.
Sydney's also picked up a few Grand Prix wins in her career here at Tryon, most of which will have been in this Tryon Stadium.
Yeah, Sydney and this horse have a great partnership. They really believe in each other. Horse diving a little bit left out of that combination, which is making this next vertical come up a little bit awkward, but she did a good job of getting it done.
And it's just one of those moments where you know, raise your eyes to heaven and say, thank goodness it's meter 55, because if it had been meter 60, it would probably have gone.
Exactly. You can see how chilly it is. You can see the horse's breath.
Let's see, he's just got this drift, whether that counts against them in the triple combination line.
And as we said, she knows the horse inside and out, so she's not surprised by it, managing it. Wow.
Just outside the time.
Yeah.
It's clear, but it's one for time for Sydney Schulman and Villamora. 75.78, so 3/4 of a second over.
77 is going to be the adjusted.
And we do hear that the judges are electing to adjust the time allowed in consultation with the course designer, so it will go out to 77 seconds, and that is actually going to suddenly put us in the realm of having not one, but 3 clears.
With Bull Run's Prince of Peace and Villamora and Sydney Schulman all posting clear round.
It's for the Brazilian Santiago Lambre.
Great effort on both Sid and the horse's part over that jump when it was diving so hard left. The FEI jump.
The Diamant Rose Z is the ride of Santiago Lambre. Santiago, who you might wonder if we've made a mistake. So often riding for Mexico right the way through to Olympic level, but Santiago redeclared for Brazil, the nation of his birth, just in recent weeks. So that's our first rail of the evening. Won't be the last, but it's the Land Rover. It's quite an airy fence. He's got that plank set in the middle of it, but low rail and a high rail, and a lot for the horses to look through in between. The Diamant Rose will also just take the rail off the arches coming down, and I think Santiago's going to call it a day and retire. Yeah. So when we were 3 for 3 for clears, Santiago knew that there was no great chance of even a fast 8 faults doing much for him. But he does still have a bit of a job on his job sheet, because the Diamant Rose, if memory serves, didn't run in the accumulator, so he does need to complete the first round of a Table A competition with them in order to go into the qualifier.
Yes, exactly.
So Portuguese rider Luis Sabino Gonçalves next to go. Luis with Algan de Beard by Milord Cartago. So first of 2 rides for the Portuguese. Luis, who's jumped Global Champions and Global Champions League in recent seasons, and was a World Games rider here for Portugal at these Tryon World Games in 2018.
Yeah, lengthening that time allowed gives them a little bit more breather, especially from 2 to 3, to not be rushing.
It might make for a lengthy jump off, it might make for a long class, but by the same token, it's not necessarily about hustling the horses tonight, but he knows he's got that up his sleeve for the World Cup qualifier if he feels he wants it. But a lot of today is about analysing the field of horses and riders.
Exactly, seeing what he has to work with for the next build. Horse just covered that line so easily. That was the first one that really walked up to the Liverpool.
Just held the big white horse off the triple combination. Obviously just has the inclination to run through the hand forward and at the top rail rather than over it, and Lewis is doing a great job of managing.
Yes, exactly. A beautiful round.
75.67 for Lewis. So again, they're not using all of that 77 seconds, but it does feel like they just needed a shade over the 75 that was originally set.
Is the time on Luis as we move to our next rider on the order.
You just see when we get to the replay just how much rain is pouring down. It's a horrid day here. We had such a beautiful sunny autumnal day here in North Carolina yesterday.
Yesterday was spectacular, one of the best.
We were just looking at the trees, we were looking at the Blue Ridge Mountains and going, you'd show here every day of the year, but winter has arrived today in North Carolina, that is for sure.
And it is a wet rain. If you're out there 5 minutes, you're just soaking.
So Adrian Sternlich next to go. Adrian, who's a member of the US team that won world gold here at the Games in 2018. She rides Benny's Legacy, a horse that was such a successful Nations Cup horse in Europe for Ireland. And once joined up with Adrian, then they were double World Cup qualifier winners in quick succession in their first winter together.
They were. Oh, picked off the front rail of the Oxford there.
Adrian and her string were in Europe this summer as part of Robert Ridland's observation trial, so very much in contention for one of those places on the Olympic squad.
Yeah, she's right in there. She's got great horses and getting tons of experience. After WAG, she's really just been in the ring every minute. So he had a brief moment of look too. It is raining hard, and that Liverpool is shiny.
But she did a great job of reacting, and that's kind of the difference of championship riders. I mean, one of my go-to lines is if somebody has the first rail off the triple, but then they jump the B and C, I say you might not have seen it, but it's because they did something. They stepped in as the rider and they did their job. Absolutely. 4 for jumping, 1 for time for Adrian there, so a total of 5. She's got 79.44 on the clock, so pretty steady. 2.5 seconds, 2.44 over the new time allowed.
Yeah, she really took her time after having the rail done so early. She knew she was not in any hurry and made the most of that time fault.
Grace, just 2 weeks ago, won the Dover USEF medal final.
So Grace Debney is our next to go. Grace, who's been a Youth Grand Prix winner. She is just 17 years old, so even if she won this class, she could not ride World Cup this weekend. She rides Temple Equestrian LLC Sfaro and comes fresh off a win in the Dover Saddlery USEF Hunt Seat Championships.
Grace is one of those young but so composed riders. Very fun to watch. Very fast on every horse. It's just great body control, really works it out.
We were chatting the other day at one stage on the rider list. I'm not sure whether we've still got all 3 of them, but we had 3 riders under 18. And said, and each of them could win a class before the World Cup that they can't go in.
Exactly.
So the Buckeye Nutrition just goes a little bit of a late falling part. I think he was just a bit idle behind, was he?
Yes. Nothing terribly wrong, just didn't follow through. And also there, a little bit shifting to the left as he took off into the triple. Had A down. Oh.
Yeah, he's just
getting more and more behind.
No, well, he's got a bit of his bell boot or something. So something came off. I think his whole actual brushing boot came off after the Mars equestrian fence, and now he's just got something flapping around his foot. So that would just distract him. No, the brushing boot is still there, so I think it's just the bell boot. Yeah. So.
But he's just getting a little bit more and more behind her. It's intimidating out here with the lights and the rain and the pressure.
Good horse, just pops out over the Land Rover as she takes a courtesy jump, so he goes out on a better experience. And again, that's nice horsemanship to see as well from Grace.
Onto the Irishman David Blake with Coyote. A combination 3 times in the top 10 last week in international competition and our 3-star action here at the Tryon International.
I see, hit that hard, which is it's a careful horse. It was a big rub.
Socrates in September as well. And David Blake, a partial owner of this one, with a Gwendolyn Dvorkin and Coyote, this 12-year-old stallion by Kentucky, the Irishman David Blake.
So long-time rider here in the USA, David Blake. David for Ireland. Originally from East Clare, his father Michael is now the chef de keep of the Irish Nations Cup team. David with Coyote. That's a horse that has been top 5 for him in the Hampton Classic. Top 5 also in the $500,000 WEF 12 Grand Prix. Top 5 in the 5-star Grand Prix that used to be held this time of year here in Tryon as well. Just really rattles the back rail of that multicolored oxer.
But it stays. And this is getting, it feels a little bit slow even. David's such a tall rider. It's not that the horse is so tiny, but it's a smaller horse with a very, very tall rider, so it's a little bit of a
Yeah, it would be interesting to see because, you know, again, people have had mixed seasons, you know, and a mixed 18 months as well of ability to compete. But you would have thought that this horse with a lot of five-star Grand Prix experience would have the step.
Mm-hmm.
But that becomes slightly academic as they have two down in quick succession, the Buckeye and the Washington Horse Show colours.
Yeah, a little bit of an unusual round for Keoki tonight, with the last rail also.
Ends up just being outside the time by a fraction, but again, David might have been easing up by that point. 12 for jumping, 1 for time, 13 in all for David and Keoki. The one thing, though, is that they are qualified as a combination now for Saturday night's President's Cup Longines FEI Jumping World Cup qualifier.
North American Youth Championships are mounted the 10-year-old Hanoverian mare Super Shuttle. She's posted 4 international wins along with 4 podium placings. Here's Super Shuttle and Chloe Reed.
So Chloe Reed are next to go. Chloe, who's been on the podium at her home World Cup qualifier at Live Oak in the past, has had some very good Grand Prix appearances both here and in Europe. Chloe with Super Shuttle today, owned by the Live Oak Plantation. I think it's Granny who has her particular eye on this one.
Yes. Granny C, as Chloe calls her. And Chloe's having some great success with this horse this year. Looks in good form tonight as well. You know, she sometimes adds the stride in front of the jump, but then she's quick to get away. She knows how to use the stride on the turn to make up if she wants to add in a line somewhere.
Chloe's uncle Chester Webber was part of the US team that won team gold at the World Championships in carriage driving here back in 2018. And actually great relationship to Washington as well, as Chloe's mother, Juliet W. Reed, is a former president of the board.
Oh, what a shame. Second to last jump, and the rain is really coming down hard.
76.38 on the clock, so okay on the time, but that rail on the final line down for Chloe Reed and Super Shuttle, so they sit 5th at the moment behind our 4 early clears who are coming back for the jump off.
Oh, that was a shame. The horse really jumped a super round.
The first 3 clear out the gate. Next rider with an opportunity to add to that list, the USA's Lauren Huff, piloting Paloma.
All of a sudden, it's like waterworks here.
This is kind of what happened during Charlie Jacobs' round earlier on, but it's settling in. We were joking a little bit about Lauren earlier on. She asked, are we really going to jump in this? And then we said, Lauren's been based in England. She's been based in Europe. This is sometimes summer weather with us in Great Britain.
Absolutely.
US Olympian Lauren Huff with Kathleen K. Mines' Paloma next to go. Lauren, who's kind of been there and done it in the sport. She's been an Olympian. She's won a Global Champions Grand Prix. She's won a 5-star Nations Cup Grand Prix. And in recent years was the winner here at Washington, at least, of the President's Cup competition.
Yes. She does have a very long resume. Oh, just a little bit at that one. Caught it, touched it in front and caught it behind.
Yeah, you see sometimes how it seems like the horse almost juggles the pole. They'll knock it in front and then somehow put it back up behind.
Yes, but not this time. No, correct.
Yeah, and as quick as that, it's actually eased off considerably.
Yes, the rain just was pouring at the end of Chloe's round. Yes.
So Lauren, and again, it comes back to balance. When we look at Santiago Lambre in the Diamant Rose earlier on, he might have just felt Yeah, maybe World Cup this weekend isn't going to be for the Diamond Rose. Maybe
exactly. It's okay.
Not jumping right. Whereas Lauren is getting the job done. She's going, look, I've been unfortunate at 2 rails, but the horse is actually jumping quite well. I still feel good about World Cup. So now I've bagged my qualification. That job is done. I can concentrate now on getting it right in the warm-up, getting it right in my training and preparation to come in and do my best in the World Cup. So 8 for jumping, 1 for time for Lauren here this evening. So won't feature on our eventual leaderboard, not part of our 4-strong jump off at the moment, but as a combination qualified for the President's Cup.
2015 has represented the U.S. in 2 World Cup finals, and she is in on the 10-year-old American warm blood gelding, Manhattan. Combination has teamed up for 13 international placings. Here's Manhattan.
Here's Georgina Bloomberg, Georgina with Manhattan. Georgina was 3rd in the Longines Cup at the Hamptons with Manhattan this year. That big jump-off class on the Saturday at the Hampton Classic Horse Show. Manhattan, a 10-year-old by Metropolitan, for US Pan American Games medalist and career winner of the Central Park Horse Show Grand Prix. Yeah, just a real hard shift left over the Delta one. It's always going to put her on a tough distance.
Yeah, over the first jump, and then all of a sudden she was shifting right into number 2. Good job of getting him straight and keeping him straight through the air at the FEI jump.
I would never promote riding angry, but I think Georgina, by the time she got to the Biltmore double there and the horse was continuing to just shift on her, she was like, I've had enough of this.
We should pull it together. Yes, you're exactly right. She's very thoughtful in this ride now, getting the rideability she wants, as you said, for the big class. And again, like you said, not the score she wants for tonight, but finished up with the rideability that she needs.
So 8 for jumping, 1 for time. I say, don't rule them out just as a result of that performance. Now they'll get everything squared away. They were on that podium in the Longines Cup competition at the Hamptons this year. They have plenty of other good results together as well. As you see, this is just the reverse angle of the Land Rover early on, and as much as anything, that rail happened to them the way they jumped the first fence, the Delta, because it put them just on too much of an inside line. It brought them up on a half stride to number 2.
Absolutely. It's all about the track.
What did somebody say to me? It's like a curved line. You can ride any stride you want as long as you ride a whole number of strides.
Very well put. Very well put.
So Molly Ashcawley, Molly, who's a career winner of the Pennsylvania National, career winner of the Grand Prix of Ireland at Dublin. She's a career winner of the American Gold Cup, has a World Cup qualifier in recent years as well. Molly with Lewisburg Farms Cappuccino. Cappuccino by Comil Faux, the Marcus Aining horse, one of a couple of top horses that he retired this year in various ceremonies. Comil Faux retired at the European Championships at Riesenbeck.
Wow. That horse took her right underneath that vertical, but it just wrapped around the jump. She really has a lot of confidence in this horse, loves riding him. A little rub there, but it stayed up. Molly is one of the best ring riders of the world for sure. Horses really jump for her. I bet that picture over that Washington jump, it was incredible. It was higher than the standards. This is looking good. 2 more jumps, we can get another clean round.
Just needs to be conscious, of course, of how much time this horse has spent in the air. She should be all right on 77. She would have been in trouble at 75. Oh! No! 77.26. Molly Ashcawley's just outside the time. It's clear for jumping 1 for time.
single top out there from Ali Ashkali.
So still 4 qualified for the jump off. Molly goes into 5th, but Margie Engel, Kristen van der Veen, Sid Schulman and Luis Sabino Gonçalves are our 4 clears to date here in the meter 55 welcome, a $72,900 world ranking class.
And as she was fitting it in to get into the triple, it definitely got slow. It's those little pieces as you go that make that clock tick away.
Earning a second at Spruce Meadows and 3 other placings so far this season for Hyde Moffitt aboard Dunn.
So Hyde Moffat is our next to go. Hyde with several horses here. This is at least the 3rd horse we've seen him on today, after 2 in the accumulator as well. This is Ariel Granger's Donio by VDL's Morocco Blue, for the Canadian rider that we see up and down the country, from the Winter Equestrian Festival in Wellington up to the Royal Winter Fair in Toronto.
And he needs to be a little bit aware of the time. It's a bit of a slower moving horse. Such a big stride.
Yeah.
He was walking that 5 to the Liverpool.
You do feel all the time, though, like Hyde is pressing.
Yes, yeah. As he gets to the jump, he's definitely pressing. It's a nice job with this horse. You can see him really encouraging him through the triple. And he's going to make it.
Yeah, 75.51 on the clock. Hyde Moffat and Donjo are clear. They are clear round number 5 just. We're very nearly, we're about a third of the way through the starting draw. We've got 5 clears so far and 4 different nations amongst them.
That was such a crazy beginning with everybody going clean.
Now the Canadian, Hyde Moffat. Thanks for watching around for Carl Cook.
And it does look like it's almost stopped raining, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks, quite often the camera tells us more, but it certainly out the window looks pretty good, and it looks all right here as well as we look at Carl Cook and Caillou. Carl, who's been a World Cup finalist, he's been a multiple winner of World Cup qualifiers.
And he was 2nd last year in the President's Cup to Todd, this horse. So I know he's wanting to win it come Saturday night. It's a great relationship, this horse and rider. He really took his time with him and just figured out what the best way was for Caillou to go, and he rides him exactly that way.
I think there aren't many who kind of analyze the sport in the way that Carl does. He really
and he thinks
devotes himself,
yeah, and footing and care, and he really does. He does really analyze and think it through. It's neat. Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, he just bowed the line a little bit after the Mars question, and I thought, is this going to be one of those situations where he knows the horse so well he can just ask, but it just wasn't to be, and then another one quickly down afterwards on the final line. And the last two.
Yep.
Time's okay, but it's 3 down late on the course for Carl Cook and Caillou. 12 jumping faults.
12 and 13. The time 75, 79.
But, you know, every rider here has got 2 jobs on the card. One is to finish the round so that they and their horse are qualified for Saturday night. And then the other job, if possible, is to get into that jump off with a clear.
Absolutely. And if they don't get it in the jump off, at least have the training and the round they want so that they're confident going into the big class.
Tanel Debon and Brianne Goutel-Marteau. Brianne's been a World Cup finalist in the past as well. She's been a runner-up at the Hampton Classic. She's been a Nations Cup rider at Jalapa and also over in Europe in Sweden at Falsterbo. Had a recent 5-star podium on the Major League Series in Traverse City.
And Brianne has a barn full of all sorts of kids and ponies and trains every level now, which is so fun to watch her navigate from ring to ring and then put on her white pants and win the class. It's fun for me to watch. I don't know if it's fun for her, but she's very accomplished.
Just plays a little bit with that top rail, but it stays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those horses that just kind of elevates in front, doesn't really push off, and so you always think it looks a little bit low, but it knows exactly where its legs are. Such a quick rider. She's flowing right around on the turns.
You talk about quick, that's going to be inside the original 75 seconds time allowed. Brianne Goutel-Marteau gives us clear round number 6 with Tanel Debon, the career winner of the American Gold Cup World Cup qualifier at Old Salem. Posts clear round number 6 in today's welcome here at the Tryon venue, the home for this year of the Washington International Horse Show.
Tonight aboard the Potent Farms entry, that's an 11-year-old stallion by Emerald. And the Belgian sport horse Casper.
So McLean Ward is next to go. McLean with Casper van Het Hellehoff. McLean already a winner today. He took the win in the accumulator early on. McLean part of the US Olympic team that took home silver in the jump off against Sweden. Of course, a replay almost of the World Games where the USA took gold with McLean on the team in a team jump off against Sweden.
Yeah, McLean's so amazing. Speaking of the big resume. He's holding it together a little bit. You see this horse has a bit of a difficult mouth, the way its mouth is open as he's going. And he's straightening it and keeping it organized, but it's a great jumper.
Of course, listed still with us in the ownership of Emily Moffat's operation Poden Farm, so I wouldn't suggest that McLean has that long a relationship with this horse. But look at that.
Yeah, beautiful.
73.88, easily done. McLean Ward and Casper van Het Hellehoff are clear round number 7 as we get towards the halfway point of the order of this welcome stake.
It's our 7th and now qualified for the jump-off round and today's welcome stake.
Yeah, you can really see how the relationship he has with this horse's mouth, how he's balancing it and knows exactly when to soften and let it jump through the air.
Here's Arpeggio. 9 international placings, including 3rd.
But here comes the rain again.
And 2nd this summer, 3-star Grand Prix action here in Tryon.
Yeah, so actually McLean been riding the horse since January at WEF, so interesting. Brooke Kemper with Caroline Bloom's Arpeggio by Arpeggio, out of a Lancer mare next to go.
And Brooke is a solid rider. She's maybe not as famous as some of the people in this class, but she can definitely hold her own. This horse is a brilliant jumper, but sometimes it literally jumps her off. It is so springy at times. Oh, good. Hind rub there, but it stayed up. It's still actually rolling. She's 5 strides away from the jump. This horse is really in a good groove. It's been coming along all season, all year, actually. It's really been putting in solid rounds. Originally, it was brought to this country as a hunter. What a great round.
I don't expect hunters to be that fast. 73.34 on the clock, so very, very comfortably inside either of our time allows. We started at 75, we pushed it out to 77, but Brooke Kemper and Arpeggi show a turn of pace that might prove useful when they come back for the jump off as clear round number 8, and they will come back in the order in which they qualify as well.
I'll take Alessandro Volpi and Foster. Next combination to show.
So Alessandra Volpi, who's been picking up some good international experience this year. She jumped at Upperville in Virginia, jumped at the Hampton Classic as well, having been a good young rider, represented the United States of America at the Youth Nations Cup finals in Europe a couple of years ago. And rode North American Youth Championships this summer up in Michigan.
Traverse City, she sure did. And did the Grand Prix leading up to North American Young Rider Championship as well.
Alessandra made her World Cup debut in 2019 jumping at the shows out west.
Fortunately had the vertical down, skinny. Putting in a very solid round.
Actually, only Chloe Reed is on 4 faults. Everyone else, you know, 1 fault for Molly Ashcawley clear, but 5, 9, 12 are the faults behind Chloe. This will come home, though, on 8 as I look at it. And that will be all as they stay inside the time. Alessandra Volpi and Foster will score 8 faults and will be 12th best. We've got 8 clears coming back to us. Molly Ashcawley sits 9th with her single time fault, and Chloe Reed's 4-faulter sits 10th as things currently stand.
14-year-old gelding by Con Air. 3 team golds and individual silver at the North American Youth Championships for the 23-year-old Catherine Strauss. Aboard the 13-year-old gelding coach, she has 9 international placings over the past 2 seasons.
So Catherine Strauss is next to go with her own coach, 13-year-old by Con Air for the US rider.
As you know, coach used to be ridden by her trainer, BZ Madden.
Catherine, who was runner-up in the Washington Equitation Finals in 2017. She's been a team gold medalist at Young Riders. Gold medalist at juniors as well, and an individual silver medalist at the Youth Championships as well.
She did a good job of getting over that skinny. She had to really pull them together, and unfortunately pushed him a little bit too hard at the Buckeye and had that one down. Oh, and a rub at the Liverpool, but it's stayed.
What's also of note about the materials we have with us this year, the Buckeye, if you look at it, that is the width of fence that we would usually have indoors. The rest of these poles are outdoor poles. This fence, again, would be kind of indoor width.
Yes, exactly.
And it just helps the designers get more into a small space like we might have had at the Capital One Arena in Washington and vice versa. But it's interesting to see the mixed here tonight as well. There's one or two fences just from each of the codes. And of course, when they go to the World Cup finals in Leipzig or go into the indoor season proper of the Winter World Cup here in North America, they need to be ready for those poles. So the Buckeye there going down, unfortunately, for Catherine, and one for time, total of 5.
Fourth place finish in last week's three-star Grand Prix here at the Tryon International Equestrian Center. And showing a 10-year-old Hanoverian gelding by detail 6. Andrew Bournes at Darkito, first of 2 before our midway break.
So Andrew Burns is our next to go. Andrew with Darkito, owned by his family. As I say, Andrew's father and his late mother were very, very busy with horses in Europe. They have riders for the horses they produce, and Benny's Legacy was a horse that they produced in Europe that now comes over here to the United States. But Andrew's been working out of his Florida base for a number of years now with the North American side of the operation. And he was a winner in the past of the Royal Dublin Society bursary given at the Dublin Horse Show.
Oh, again, rubbing that one, but that one stayed up. Skinny. He's doing a good job of putting it all together tonight. Making it look easy.
And time-wise too.
Oh, a little rub again, but great round.
So Andrew, just over the original 75 seconds time allowed, but no problem as it currently sits at 77 seconds. He becomes clear round number 9, putting Ireland on the board now. Ireland, Canada, Portugal, Israel, and the United States of America in the starting field of now 9 for the jump-off in this welcome.
Before we take a drag break here, this is Ailish Kenneth riding the Graylish LLC entry out of South Salem, New York. The 12-year-old gelding by Caprice Wamago.
Another rider who's picked up medals at the North American Youth Championships in the past, Ailish Kenneth. Ailish with Vivaldi de Thiel by Caprice Bois-Margot.
Ailish this morning, early, like at 8 in the morning, was already like, it's going to be pouring rain and freezing cold, I know it. And I kept telling her, no, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. Well, she was right.
She was right.
Pouring rain and freezing cold. She's soaking wet.
Ailish, who jumped both the U25 series, which is always quite a hot series down at the Winter Equestrian Festival, and the Senior Grand Prix series this spring.
Yeah, that U25 division is so fun in Wellington. Really gets the competition rolling. It's big and it's hard, and professionals are in it and juniors are in it. It's really neat.
Here just comes another real heavy band of rain.
Yeah, this horse is jumping beautifully. Hopefully she can just hang on and not get jumped out of the wet saddle. Oh, fortunately picked off the front rail of the Liverpool. That's a shame. This horse is really putting in a solid round.
It's still only Chloe Reid on 4. Sitting in the top dozen at the moment.
What a nice round.
Just outside. 4 for jumping, 1 for time for Eilish and Vivaldi de Thiel as she takes us up to the halfway mark. She joins Adrian Sternlicht and Catherine Strice on that score of 5. So that will go into 12th best. It would be a prize-winning score and time at the moment, but of course a second half of the draw to go to give us potentially a few more clears in this welcome. We're currently sitting at 9 clears coming back to us for the jump-off. Out of a big starting field, it's great to have such a support from the horses and riders here at Washington for 2021. So at this stage, Margie Goldstein-Engel, Kristen van der Veen, Sid Schulman, Luis Sabino Gonçalves, Hyde Moffat, Brianne Goutal-Marteau. They are our first group of clear rounds. As you can see, USA, Israel, Portugal, Canada represented amongst the nations. The times don't matter at this stage. It won't affect anything about them going forward. And quite often, the rider who is fast in this round, they actually don't have a different pace. It's sometimes the slower clears that have more gears that they can move up into. McLean Ward, Brooke Kemper and Andrew Bournes, they are our remaining clears, qualified to come back to us. 9 so far, more to come. We're going to take a very short break here at Tryon from the Washington International Horse Show. We'll be back to the action in the first round of this world ranking welcome stake in just a few minutes' time.
Send it up to the video board for a word from our sponsors here as we work the footing in preparation for the second half of our first round.
Isn't it a paradox that the love for this world that gets us out in it sometimes leaves behind the things that can harm it? But now, flight by flight, we can make a difference. Because Delta has committed to becoming the world's first carbon-neutral airline on a global basis. We believe you shouldn't have to choose between seeing the world and saving it.
Dogs don't know what's good for them. Maybe we'll leave a good stick alone. Greenies, something better for your dog to chew on.
Introducing the Land Rover Defender.
Just the thing for those little everyday trips. Good in heavy traffic. Perfect for catching up with the relatives. Then dropping into the car wash en route. Giving someone a helping hand. Or beating a commute. And putting your feet up after a long day.
Is an attitude. Longines.
Isn't it a paradox that the love for this world that gets us out in it sometimes leaves behind the things that can harm it? But now, flight by flight, we can make a difference. Because Delta has committed to becoming the world's first carbon-neutral airline on a global basis. We believe you shouldn't have to choose between seeing the world and saving it.
there was a world championship for this, I'd be a sports legend. I'd be a household name. But there isn't, and I wouldn't do anything different if there was. Neutro, feed clean.
Good morning.
More treatment.
We're gonna try something different today.
Oh, so pretty.
Dogs bring out the good in us. Pedigree brings out the good in them.
U.S. Equestrian. Thousands of equestrians have united
To watch, to learn, to experience, to compete.
in the pursuit of fairness, safety, welfare, and joy.
From the grassroots to the Olympic Games,
Each with personal goals, but all united together for the joy of horse sports.
Ride United. Ride with US Equestrian.
Time. Perfection takes time. Hours, days, years. Repetition, dedication, perseverance will take you further, lift you higher, make you stronger. Time is measured in seconds. Success and failure separated by fractions. Champions are created in time.
It all comes down to this time to be competitive Longines FEI Topping World Cup champion.
Yeah, midway drag break all wrapped up here in the Tryon Stadium. Yeah, 21 on the front side of the break. We'll see 22 on the back side of the break. 9 clear here at the midway point. Margie Goldstein, Engel, and Royce were the first combination to go clear. Followed by Kristen Vanderveen with Bull Run's Prince of Peace. Sydney Schulman with Villamura. Luis Sabino Gonzalez with Argan de Belliard. Hyde Moffat with Donjo. Brianna Gatala-Morteau with Tanel de Bon. McLean Ward with Casper. Bennett Hellehoff. Brooke Kemper with Arpeggi. And the most recent addition to the list, the Irishman Andrew Bournes with Darkito. Again, 22 combinations on the backside of the break with an opportunity to add to that list of clear rounds in today's welcome stake.
So welcome back to the Washington International Horse Show here at Tryon in North Carolina. We are halfway through the first round of jumping of our world ranking welcome stake. It's a meter 55 competition that sets the conditions for the President's Cup, the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup qualifier here on Saturday night. It has been quite a miserable day in terms of weather. We've had some very good jumping. We've got 9 clears at the moment, but just these bands of very, very heavy rain come across the ring, and Kat Tyree is going to start in one of them here now with BEC Lorenzo. Kat has had some very good results over the last few years in both Grand Prix format and speed competitions at the Washington Horse Show. Lorenzo ended up on the podium in that Longines Cup competition at the Hamptons.
He's looking very comfortable out here, even though it's basically deluging. Really paid attention to that skinny, which has caused some problems in the other half of the class. Oh, light rub in the front there, but stayed up. It's looking very solid. That's super organized in her track.
77 seconds the time allowed. And Kat Tyree is going to open us up with a clear, so that brings us up to 10 now. BEC Lorenzo and Kat Tyree jump clear for the United States of America. They joined the 9 already qualified for the jump off. That Irish Sport Horse by Livello out of a Guidam mare.
You can see really gave some space over that FEI vertical.
Will be our next to go, representing Switzerland on the 13-year-old mare by Baron. Here's Desari. Shown on the ownership of the Grant Road Partners, the 52-year-old three-time Olympian.
So interesting for the Grant Road Partners team of Katie Dinan and Baird Mandley. They each had, I think, 3 horses originally down to run in the welcome. Now they have gone all in on a single ride. They are just going to start in the competition to make sure that they tick every box about horse and rider being qualified for the competition. But in the weather and all of that, they decided not to run all 3 of their horses each. So Baird, a career winner here at Washington, a 3-time Olympian now, having represented Switzerland in Tokyo this summer. He rides Zari. So we were watching Baird earlier on as well in the accumulator. And we think back to his World Cup win. He never looks
like he's going fast.
But he often is, because he is so smooth and accurate.
He is literally one of the smoothest riders to watch. Such control of every stride of his own body. And he just has a way of landing and traveling away from the jump that is just so quick but seamless.
But he just did the smoothest sit up and balance 3 strides away from the Buckeye as well a moment ago. Ah!
Just jumped into that one a little bit. No, it's beautiful round, nonetheless, even with the 4 faults. End time.
Yeah, 4 for jumping, 1 for time, 79.55 on the clock. I don't think Bear was ever here really to try and win this class. He was
and
not.
Stand in the rain for another
Yeah,
hour.
well, that too. But I think basically himself and Katie talked through their philosophy today, and it was just like, let's go. We'll start 1 horse in the class, then as riders we are confirmed with our qualification. There are other opportunities to get the horses qualified, but Zari is qualified, and just looking at that, yeah, Bet has Victor Serrassier here. He's got Dion Terdoum, so Zari probably would be his choice for the World Cup, so maybe that is also their plan, that they're just going to ride their World Cup horse in the first round here tonight and get them, horse and rider, qualified. Hunter Holloway's are next to go. Pepita Conspita is the ride by the DSP horse Conspirit. Hunter riding for Hayes Investment Corporation.
And you can see it's so unusual. The stands are completely empty, but no one is sitting out in the stands at this moment. Everyone's watching online.
Oh, everyone's trying to find a friend with a VIP table.
Exactly. It is the best seat in the house tonight.
Hunter's been a Grand Prix winner here at Tryon in the past. Career Maclay champion as well. Mr. Maclay coming up as the equitation flagship next week at the National Horse Show.
I've got a deep and quite a rub there, but it stayed up. Hunter can be so fast in the jump off.
This combination had 2 top 5s at the Live Oak World Cup qualifier in Ocala, Florida in the spring of 2020. Live Oak returns to our World Cup calendar in the spring of 22.
That's a clear round from
and
does it, yeah. That'll be tough in the jump off.
Yeah, we keep talking about the fact that we started at 75 seconds. There are probably 4 or 5 now who've managed to make it inside that time allowed. But the jury did elect to adjust the timeout to 77, and Hunter Holloway gives us clear round number 11 now to come back in this welcome here tonight, the first day of international competition at the 2021 Washington International Horse Show.
He's on the 12-year-old Zangersheim mare, MXZ. 10 international wins, 17 podium placings, and they were the reserve champion horse of the year for the USEF.
Todd Minicus next to go with the bit-by-bit groups Amex Z by Andiamo. Todd, who's the defending President's Cup champion.
Todd had a bit of an injury and hasn't been riding for a couple of weeks, and I said to him, are you sure you're ready? And he was like, I'm going to give it a try, as he always does. He didn't want to miss this week of jumping, defending his title.
I tell you, he's going to be defending champion, I think, in quite a few Tryon Grand Prix next year, because he's had a great summer here as well.
Well, you certainly wouldn't know that he's been sidelined with how well he's riding. Perfect through the triple combination. Oh, and Beautiful clean round.
Another one in about 73 seconds. Todd Minicus and Amex Z complete the round and give us clear round number 12.
Winner on a clear, adding his name to our list. We are up to 12 qualifying for the jump off.
You see this ride to the triple again. Really got the horse right where he wanted. Was in total control the whole way.
Sponsorship and division within Mars Incorporated is the link between our iconic brands and the equestrian community. For generations, Mars has celebrated a rich equestrian heritage, and through purposeful partnerships, Mars Equestrian is committed to the sport and building an enduring legacy. From world-class competitions across all equestrian disciplines to stewarding the power of horses on society and sustainability, Mars Equestrian is dedicated to our purpose to improve the lives of horses, pets, and the people who love them.
Todd Minicus and Amex become our latest to qualify, giving us 12 for our jump off.
While you are here, be sure to visit their VIP pet experience on Friday and Saturday, where your dog is the VIP.
Yeah, 6 of our 12, interestingly, would have been inside the 75 seconds time allowed.
Yes, and probably more because they knew it was a little bit more lenient, so they weren't pressing
Delta
it.
Airlines is proud to be the official airline of the Washington International Horse Show. When you fly Delta, you fly with peace of mind. Inside and out, Delta is committed to cleanliness as part of the Delta Care Standard.
So we're obviously just waiting for our next athlete accommodation to come forward. Sometimes just if there's a problem in the warm-up, we might just have somebody move down, cast a shoe or something.
You never know. Anything can happen.
Make sure to check out who was the Delta trip of the day on the Washington International Horse Show social channels.
Well, hopefully the weather will rally and we'll have a beautiful day tomorrow.
Well, we're guaranteed, or as guaranteed as one can be with the weather, a clear night for the World Cup. We just have to see what the rain will do to us tomorrow, especially with it being Land Rover Puissance evening. Well, this is Rowan Willis. Rowan with Billy Gilder by Billy Congo. Rowan who rides this one for the Billy stud. William and Pippa Funnell and Donald Barnwell's breeding operations produce some wonderful, wonderful horses. Rowan, another top 5 finish in the Spruce Meadows Masters Grand Prix this year. And he has his Nations Cup Grand Prix winning horse Blue Movie with us here at Tryon this weekend. Rowan, who came very close to a World Cup win. He was on the podium at Thunderbird at the opening leg of the season.
This horse is so beautifully orthodox as opposed to Blue Movie, who is its own style, huh? That's every jump the same.
We haven't seen too many problems there.
That's only the second time the front rail's come down. And both that had it down really just jumped straight into it. It wasn't like they just touched it. That was too bad.
Jamie will be just over the time as well. 77 seconds is our time allowed, so Rowan will be another one to come home on 5. There's quite a lot of them. As soon as they have that rail, they just start riding at, well, I was about to say 7/8, but maybe they go back to 8/8, having ridden at 9/8 to try and just catch that time, because it is still relatively tight unless you're prepared to, you know, cut a few corners. And Bernardo Costa Cabral has set up this track that if you do cut the corners, you have a real risk of a rail. So The riders are just looking for any opportunity to just ride a bit deeper into the corners, take that moment extra preparation.
Yes, absolutely.
So Georgina Bloomberg is back with us. Georgina, who had an unlucky 2 rails earlier on with her first ride. She's this time going to ride Tulara Colmeen, the 11-year-old by Coleman for Gotham Enterprises LLC. We were mentioning several of the riders who've come up and been medalists at the North American Youth Championships. Georgina's Gotham North operation has supported those North American Youth Championships for many, many years now.
Yes, honestly, without her support, it would be hard to run it, and it's such a great event. Many thanks to Gotham North.
And a little bit like I was saying earlier on, how she now owns horses with one of the US para-equestrian athletes, that Gotham North support the whole youth championships. It's not just Georgina's sport of eventing, but of jumping, but the dressage and the jumping have been held together for the last few years. But I've also been involved in the youth championships in eventing, and it's also presented by Gotham North. So it's great generosity and a real, handle on developing the stars of the future, because I've been lucky enough to commentate here for many years, and you see the riders who come through, particularly those individual gold medalists at the young rider level, the under 21, they come through again and again to the top of the sport. And you've got a few here, not least of which Carl Cook is a former gold medalist at youth championships.
Yeah, and this is not Georgina's best round with this horse, but as we said, the rain is really coming down now. And it is hard to do top sport in this kind of weather.
12-1 for Georgina and Tulara Colmeen.
Yeah, 12 faults in the field, 1 on the clock as well for the U.S. rider Georgina Bloomberg with Tulara Colmeen.
Just that middle sector of the course proving relatively expensive for them.
They score 13.
Andrew Bournes is in now. It's C Top Blue. Irish rider on the 10-year-old gelding by Shaco Blue, the Irish sport horse. International placings, 14 of them over the past 2 years for this combination of C Top Blue and Andrew Bournes.
Andrew Bournes next to go. Second ride for Andrew. C Top Blue is his ride. This one by Checo Blue. Bred at home, appears in the Irish Sport Horse Stud Book.
And again, this horse jumps in such beautiful style. Dragged him a little bit underneath that vertical, but he held on to it and got it done. As we say, it's all about finishing the work. Sometimes they get you where you don't want to be, and you have to finish it.
So we didn't have on the card the dam sire of this one. It's actually Lux Z. Of course, appears in a lot of Irish jumper breeding. James and John Mead, who bred this one.
He's so handy with both ends. Very snappy off the ground.
Well, Andrew could put himself in contention to have 2 in the jump
It's
off.
a little bit slow.
Is he fast enough? 76.40, 6/10 inside. That is a second clear round for Andrew Bournes for Ireland. C Top Blue goes through as clear round number 13. There might have to be some jiggery pokery because Andrew is qualified just as number 9 as well with his first ride. So
it'll be a quick change. You can see through the triple horse, really attentive front and hind end.
13-year-old Irish sport horse gelding by Ars Vivendi is shown by the Irishman Richie Maloney, who has 10 career wins here in the Tryon Stadium. Richie Maloney.
Well, lucky these Irish all grew up in the rain, because here it is.
So Richie Maloney. Richie who won the Hampton Classic a few years ago. He's won a 5-star Grand Prix at WEF and has won the American Gold Cup. Richie was actually the first non-North American rider to win that American Gold Cup competition in its history. Yeah, Equanimity LLC's Roxy Music is his ride. And he has picked up a pace. He's attacking this course at a decent clip.
I always think that Richie's going at a decent clip. You rarely do you think he's going too slow. See, the horse is a little bit feisty, but listening.
He just made exactly the same balancing move out of that bend as Bert Mandley did earlier on, coming to the Buckeye, but maybe just left him a shade off the Washington fence. The front rail off Mars Equestrian as well, so suddenly on 8 faults. Aye.
12. Now, listen, I think as the horse has rubbed a few now, he's getting a little bit more nervous. Harder to ride now.
You could see very clearly from that angle when we just got the little bit of a lower shot from our camera how, you know, that phrase we use, they jump at the top rail rather than over it.
Yes.
So 16 for jumping, 1 for time for Richie. Not quite Richie's night tonight, but as I say, as a combination, they are all set fair for the President's Cup here on Saturday night.
Silver medalist and Lima Peru for the United States. He's on Carlson W., a 13-year-old Mecklenburg gelding. Has 15 FEI wins, including 2 wins in World Cup qualifying.
Alex has given up on his raincoat.
So this is the one we were waiting for, just coming through after a delay. Another one by Chaco Blue. This is Carl Shen W. and Alex Granato. Alex, a double World Cup qualifier winner in the past with this horse. And again, we talk about horse and rider combinations that really know each other.
Absolutely. Such a fast horse.
Yo.
And as you said, Alex knows exactly what's going to happen before it happens. You can just see it in his ride. Oh, what a shame. Just honestly jumped too low at B.
Yeah. We haven't had too many problems with the B element inside that line.
No, indeed.
Vertical oxer.
That was a shame. The horse jumped a very nice round.
Alex and Carlson W. will finish up on a single rail.
So a single rail, be a little bit faster than Chloe Reed. Chloe and Alex are the only 2 riders to come home with just the single rail. Plenty of others, once they've had the rail, have just steadied up and picked up the time fault as well. So Alex goes into 15th. Molly Ash-Corley was clear with the time fault. She sits 14th, and 13 clears eligible to come back. We're already hearing, I think, that 1 or 2 are not going to come back for the jump off, and I think actually just hearing that Andrew Bournes and C Top Blue will solve our problem of him having 2 close together. Andrew won't ride C Top Blue in the jump off tonight. So Mimi Gotchman is our next to go. Mimi with Gotchman Sport Horse LLC's Gigi's Girl BH. Mimi's another of our riders who won't be eligible for World Cup. She's yet to make her 18th year, but my goodness, what a career she's had already. Just dives a little bit at the second, but
she's had a great year. She won the young rider, and then went to Europe and did the Nations Cup finals for the young riders, and was phenomenal. Won the Grand Prix at that show in the Netherlands. She's really had a superb year. I think it's so great that these youngsters can get in these big classes. Like you said, they're not eligible for the Grand Prix, but they get in, they get the experience, and then by the time they are ready to do the Grand Prix, they're comfortable. They're used to jumping these big jumps.
And that's, again, it comes to at this level because, Grace Debney's been a Grand Prix winner, and you ask how that is. Well, down at the 2-star level, you can ride before your 18th year. But here at 4-star and at World Cup, it is the 18 restriction. Of course, you look back to the Olympic Games in London when Reed Kessler was our youngest Olympian. Unfortunately, that can't happen again now. There's the minimum age of 18 for Olympians. As Mimi will jump for 12 jumping and 2 for time.
In the field, 2 penalties against the clock. That's 12 jumping, 2 time. Scored 14 for Mimi Gotchman and Gigi Girls BH.
Charlie Jacobs is in next. Charlie is on the CMJ Sport Horses. Corpegia, 11-year-old mare.
Mimi actually gets to show more than the others because she shows all day in the medium juniors and then the high juniors and then the big classes. So she's actually in the ring more than anybody.
So Charlie Jacobs now with the horse he rode in the World Cup qualifier at Thunderbird in Langley, British Columbia, the season opener. This is Corpegia by Cornado. Corpegia has just been in Charlie's stable this summer, and they competed at Traverse City and Spruce Meadows before starting their World Cup campaign in Canada. Charlie was a class winner at Spruce this autumn and has been a career podium finisher in the National Horse Show Grand Prix and also in the American Gold Cup.
Yeah, Charlie's one of the few that actually goes to work and then comes and rides in the big classes.
I was Charlie's involved in the management of the Boston Bruins through his family, but what was tough was I was actually announcing at Thunderbird this year, and we didn't have many in the class, so I was doing almost everyone's inside leg measurement to introduce them to try and make the class fill up the time we had available. And I just looked up and said, right, well, I know about Charlie and the Bruins, how much will I go into it? The only time Vancouver's team got into the Stanley Cup finals, they were put out by the Bruins. So I was like, oh
dear.
Don't hold it against him.
Oh, that's funny. You fortunately had that Buckeye jump down. And back rail of the triple combination.
So we've seen a few riders, Kim, just really sit up and balance about 3 strides away from the Buckeye. And, I'm thinking about the in-gate. Are riders maybe coming around more positive than they need to be thinking about the in-gate, and then they suddenly find themselves 3 strides away and go, I'm too forward?
Well, and I think also that, like you said earlier, it's the place where you can make up the time. So I think they land from the skinny vertical, and then they're trying to make up all time, so they kind of roll around the turn, and then all of a sudden it's upon them not the way they want it. So it's interesting how often it's happened today.
So Charlie will be a 13 fault round, 12 for jumping and 1 for time, 79.05 on the clock. So still 13 qualified to come back to us.
Do you think it's raining harder, or is it just my imagination?
It just seems to come in bands, like
pouring.
You can just really have the luck or not of the draw here this evening. Megan McDermott's in the ring with Entano. Entano by Nameless R for Megan.
I like the gaminess of this pair. I like digging in.
But it's, you know, when it is just this wet, everything becomes more difficult. You know, your reins.
The saddle, everything's slippery. And
Especially
again,
if you've been a good pony clubber and you've got them well saddle soaked.
Exactly right. And that's the first time we've seen actually someone circle.
I thought it's interesting the way she came back to it, because I thought maybe she'd pulled away because she just felt, oh, I'm a bit out of shape again, you know, slippery reins, having jumped the Buckeye. But she rode really positively then back at the Washington, so maybe actually she felt the horse coming behind the leg. He obviously maybe just clocked the water tray.
Yeah, and I think also it hit the Buckeyes. It was deep and hit it hard and landed a little bit on its nose. I think it didn't feel quite right.
So the 2 rails down the circle will cost them 4 additional penalties, so 12 for jumping, 3 for time.
Penalties on the clock, 12 faults in the field and 3 time faults there, 15 the total, 87-78 for Megan McDermott with Intana.
See, just deep at the Buckeye and then hit it hard. I think just was undercommitted to the Liverpool.
Yeah. Here's Amanda Derbyshire, and she is in on the 13-year-old Holsteiner stallion by Conair Cornwall V8.
So another ride for Amanda Derbyshire. This is her own and Gotchman Sport Horses Cornwall BH. The same BH suffix that we just saw with Mimi Gotchman, who's, along with her sister, trained for years with Amanda Derbyshire. I say that was through the Hunters and the Juniors and the Equitation, right the way through to those Youth Championships and Nations Cups. And Amanda, in the meantime, has had her own job to do, being a championship rider through to the World Games and the Nations Cup finals for Great Britain.
Yeah, they've had a great relationship with Amanda and Ken Berkeley and Scott Stewart. They've just really put a whole program together of great success for the Gotchmans. Cornwall looks great this evening. Again, Amanda knows them inside and out. It's nice to, when the conditions are this rough, to have a horse that you know so well. See how quick she is getting around that turn, not wasting any time going out to the right. Great through the triple. A very, very solid round.
Nice job then from Amanda Derbyshire and Cornwall BH, and it's going to put Great Britain into contention in our jump-off. She is the 14th to qualify. As I say, I don't know if it's what we're going to get as a replay, but the short turn she made into the Mars Equestrian Double, if this was a Hunter Derby, she'd be getting a big handy bonus for that.
We'll be seeing 11 at this point coming back against the clock.
On the current world number 9 again.
So just hearing there that we've got 14 qualified. We already know of some 3 withdrawals. We spoke, I think, about C-Top Blue. Margie Engel and Royce won't come back either. Obviously, one other has elected and sent the message that they won't be coming back. We'll update you on that just as soon as we know. Here's a horse and rider that went very well this year at the Nations Cup show at Piazza di Siena in Rome. It's Kent Farrington, and at Austria, Kent, who's been the 5-star Grand Prix winner here at Tryon, amongst so many other things in the past, former world number 1. Kent actually has his Aachen Grand Prix winner here, Gazelle.
Yes, he doesn't get to show this horse quite as much, but when he does, he just pulls it out and wins. I love that this horse is actually so size appropriate for Kent. He looks perfect on it. between Kent and the way this horse travels, the time allowed looks like it'll be no issue.
I would say more than half of this horse's class wins are in speed format competitions.
Yes,
so
yes. This horse is a quickie. Even when he adds like he did there into the triple. Perfect. Such a good round.
76.57, it's pretty well judged because 77 seconds is the time allowed. He couldn't have afforded another stride on course. Kent and Austria, though, do jump clear, and they put themselves in position to maybe take the win here as the night goes on. That is clear round number 15 to qualify. As I say, one or two electing not to come back. That's not their game plan tonight, is to try and run fast today and try and win this class, keeping their powder dry, quite literally, for Saturday night's President's Cup.
City in Tryon this year. Jessica Mendoza, the 25-year-old rider out of Great Britain, aboard play.
So a big feature of the US circuit now. Jessica Mendoza won a couple of Grand Prix on the Split Rock Jumping Tour in the last 12 months. And prior to that, when in Europe, British Championship rider on several occasions, was the travelling reserve for the Rio Olympic Games and a Nations Cup finals level rider for Great Britain as well, going to Barcelona when the team finished in second place a few years ago.
No, she's purring right around. The horse is actually jumping better and better as it goes. So get it up, get it up to that Mars jump a little bit. The horse is really listening, whether she wants to go forward or balance. The horse is exactly with her. Well, start to finish, wonderful.
Very nice round and impressive from the just 9-year-old play. And Jessica Mendoza, they become our latest clear round. Remember, they do come back in the order in which they qualify 16th on that potential starting order for Jessica Mendoza. Again, I think, you know, Jess will go out now, have another look. They know, and they will have walked some of the lines for the jump off, and Jess will just be deciding whether it's quite the right thing for her 9-year-old horse tonight, or whether she will, again, just think about the rest of the week's jumping to come. But that's a very impressive start for that horse.
It certainly is.
Skylar Riley and Robin de Pontoul. Well, this could be a winner. On their night together, they have had some very impressive results since they partnered up. And Skylar, her two traditions, just a little treat for the horse and reminding herself of the course at the very last minute.
Everyone has their routine, that's for sure, Skylar's.
Skylar was on the podium at the Upperville Horse Show the last 2 years, I think, in 2019 and 2021 with this horse. And actually being pushed into the ring each successive round, I think, by Laura Kraut 2 years ago in Washington to end up splitting the puissance at Washington.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Robin can really jump. Oh my goodness. Wow, she really got away with that rub because she was underneath it and he hit it hard, but rolled it and didn't knock it down. So you're really trying to fit it in at the end so that the combination is not so tight.
And good on the time as well. So nicely around then for Skylar Ryler and Robin de Pontoul. As we said, that could now put them in the driving seat of this class. They're going to have a relatively late draw. There is not a huge amount of opportunities. There's only 5 left to show. So whatever happens, they're going to be late in the draw. Just been given back something. Maybe she just tossed a boot, a shoe. So went around some of that track with 3 wheels on her wagon.
She did.
Katie Dynan joins us on Brago R&B. Katie, a 28-year-old rider.
And just so you know, the safety vest can also be as flotation device if the water keeps on coming as it is.
So Katie and Brago R&B for Grant Road Partners. Say Beat and Katie both here with 3 or maybe even more horses at Washington this year, but they had 3 entered in
today.
This class and have elected to just ride 1 each, yeah. So Katie, who's been runner-up in the President's Cup in the past, that was back in 2018. Former North American Young Rider gold medalist. She's had 3 World Cup wins. She's won the Grand Prix at the National Horse Show. And has actually in recent seasons taken the opportunity. Just there used to be quite a closed season here in terms of World Cup between November, December and late January. So she was one of the US riders encouraged by Baird, I'm sure, to go and ride in a few European World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, to keep you a little bit more organized in the indoor scene. It's hard to go from that big ring in Wellington and then go to the World Cup finals. It's just a big change.
Katie knows what she's up against, though. She's been 4 times to the World Cup finals.
Making handiwork of this course tonight. Oh, maybe that was my rail, I think.
That's your rail.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's a combination Brago, R&B and Katie were top 5 in the welcome, so the Grand Prix qualifier at Upperville this year, but it's going to be a 4-fault inside the time for Katie and Brago here this evening.
That was a very, very solid round. Horse jumped easily.
And just the 4 there, 76-13 for Katie Dynan and Brago R&B.
Have a second look at it here.
Foster, a Canadian, two-time Olympian.
Just didn't quite help him enough for the back rail.
Partner tonight with the Artisan Farms entry Figor. It's an 11-year-old Dutch form-led gelding by VDL Group Zagreb. Tiffany Foster with wins in 2-4.
So Tiffany Foster is our next to go. Tiffany, as I said, based herself at the Thunderbird Show Park for 2020. During the height of the pandemic, she has broken free this year, jumped in the USA, jumped in Europe, and then jumped the 2 international meetings at Thunderbird this year, August and again in late September, and also through the 3-week series at Spruce Meadows in Calgary.
This horse doesn't seem at all affected by the rain and the lights. She just kind of rushed that turn a little bit and just was upon it a little earlier than she thought.
Yeah, and that's, you know, the true mark of a related distance is you're in trouble coming in, you're in trouble coming out.
That's correct.
Watching the time, yeah, into time as well. 8 for jumping, 1 for time for Tiffany Foster and Figo. And again, so interesting because that was a round that was really together.
Yeah, yeah, and she must have sensed she was slow and kind of tried to shave it a bit. And just hooked right into it a bit. And didn't quite get it back.
Two to work here in the opening round. Santiago Lambre representing Brazil. On the Mario Anate entry, it's the 10-year-old mare, Easy Girl. Five wins over the past 4 seasons.
So from one Olympian to another, Santiago Lambre with Mario Anate's Easy Girl by Contagos. Santiago's been top 10 in the $500,000 season finale Grand Prix at WEF in Wellington, Florida in the recent years. As well as Olympic level competition, he has been a medalist at the Pan American Games.
And one of those riders that's just so incredibly fast also. Oh my goodness. Lost their rideability a little bit there on the turn, but managed to pull it together. This horse has a lot of different moves with its head. It goes low, it goes high. It's ever changing. You have to be reading the room all the time while riding it, clearly.
So it kind of trotted across the top of the Buckeye rail, but it stayed.
It did. Oh, and then just ran out of a little bit of luck there. Couldn't quite maintain the space in front of the jump.
Well, Santiago Lambre will finish on 4 faults. He will actually be the fastest of our now 4 faulters. Alex Granato, Katie Dinan and Chloe Reed all there on 4 faults, but 75-73 for Santiago will be the fastest of them, so he sits inside the top 20. Got 17 clears qualified to come back to us. And Molly Ash-Corley sits there with the single time fault in 18th. One more, we believe, to show in the first round. And it's going to be a rider who's already qualified for that jump off with his first horse. Back once again, this time with Camino Imperio Egipcio, Luis Sabino Gonçalves with this one by Coleman for Portugal.
And again, this just going exactly as the rider wants him to go. He's a little bit of a different jumper, but so so well ridden. Oh, that was clearly mine too. Hooked it behind. And another hind rail at the Buckeye.
Lewis then will be just single-handed for the jump off to come, and it will leave us that we have 17 qualified. We're going to see less than that back, and we know that we've had 3 or 4 withdrawals.
Yeah, you have to decide if you want to really go that fast before the big class.
So faults and time, 12 for jumping, 1 for time for Luis Sabino Gonçalves and Camino Imperio Egipcio. So total of 13. So just watch the replay here. catching that plumb behind the skinny rail just below us here at the jury box.
And again at this one too, same.
So Lewis with his first ride is qualified as number 4. That's going to be Argan de Belliard. So 17 qualified to come back. Lewis will be the 4th potentially of them. We actually know that Margie is not going to run, so he might actually be 3rd in the ring. We'll get a full update on all that. But here are our qualifiers. Margie, Kristen van der Veen, Sid Schulman, Luis Sabina Gonsalves, Hyde Moffat for Canada, Brian Gutel-Marteau and Tanael Debon for the United States of America. They were our first 6 clears around Bernardo Costa Cabral's course. Then we have McLean Ward and Casper, Brooke Kemper and Arpeggi, Andrew Bournes and Darkito, Kat Tyree, Lorenzo, Hunter Holloway, Pepita Conspita, Todd Minikus and Amex. What a year they had last year, including the win in the President's Cup. Ended up being Reserve Horse of the Year, Amex, for Todd. Andrew Bournes and C Top Blue, Amanda Derbyshire, Cornwall, Ken Farrington in Austria, Jess Mendoza and Play, and Skylar Riley and Robin de Pontoul were our final qualifier as clear round number 17. We're going to let the crew here at Tryon set up the short course, ready to rejoin the action, and we will bring you all of the jump off here in this world ranking welcome very, very shortly.
Qualified for the jump off to return, and we will send it up to the video board for a word from some of the many sponsors who help bring us this Washington International Horse Show. wrapping up as we finish up with surface preparation. 14 of the 17 clears
will be coming back against the clock to jump off.
So welcome back to Tryon for the Washington International Horse Show. We have 17 qualified for our jump-off. We're actually going to see 3 less. Margie Gostin-Engel will be a withdrawal from the jump-off starting field, as indeed will be Hunter Holloway's Pepita Conspita and Andrew Bourne's and his second qualified ride, C Top Blue. We will see Andrew, though, with Darkito. We're going to see Kat Tyree, Todd Minicus and Amex. We're going to see Amanda Derbyshire, Kent Farrington in Austria. He's got a very good draw for the way he and that horse go. Skylar Riley and Robin de Pontoul, though, last in the draw. Don't rule them out. They can be very fast against the clock. Plenty of Grand Prix results to suggest exactly that. Our course is going to start out over fences 1 and 2 as well, but after they jump the Land Rover at number 2, then they swing left. The Land Rover there, just you can see the Land Rover roundels jumping from left to right of your screen. They will land and turn left, which is a different direction to in the first round, and go over to the 2 remaining parts of the Longines triple combination, the vertical and the ox, so the B and C. Then they turn tight around from there to number 12, which was on the line home, the big vertical, which will be standing probably a shade over meter 55 even for this jump off. And then we pick up 2 new fences. The Washington International Horse Show fence with the blue and red pillars and the Roman column at the other end of the poles that you can see there beside the Longines clock. That's new fence 15, and they're going to finish off over new fence 16, which is actually the joker from the accumulator earlier on. It's the black, red and silver vertical over by the vendor booths side of the ring. Actually, the tractor just going in front of it there, so we're end on to it, but it is the black rails you can see over there by the Mars banner just going out of left of shot. So fences 1 to 11 BC, 12, and then new fences 15 and 16 is the jump off track. 42 seconds the time, lads. Quite a short jump off course. I think with a large field, I think Bernardo Costa Cabral was expecting quite a few clears, and he did get them, 17 of them in all. And he'll let the clock now in the jump off sort them out. Exactly so. The first of the tractors just leaving, so the drag coming to its conclusion, and we'll be giving a call to our first.
And the good news is even with all this rain, the footing is exactly the same for everybody.
Yeah.
There's no disadvantage going early, going late. It's holding up. Not slipping. No puddles. It's really quite amazing.
So 14 will come back to us, looking for top honours. Not only the win in this class and the lion's share of a $72,900 prize fund, but in addition, valuable world ranking points as well that will help keep them right up there. And those world ranking points important in terms of getting into the invitation system to some of the bigger shows in the world.
And don't forget to go online and look at the items in the silent auction here at Washington.
Yeah, as ever, Washington has put together a huge array of fantastic prizes in the silent auction. And even if you can't be with us, you can bid on them and view them through the Washington website. And those silent auction prizes, including glass box tickets to any Bruins game at the TD Garden. I think there's a Capitals game in there as well for the Washington Caps.
Golfing in Scotland, yeah.
See, my luck, I would end up winning that, so I wouldn't even get the flight for it, you know.
I think golfing in Scotland sounds fabulous.
It's probably weather like this.
But windier.
Windier.
So we get set to go again. Royce, who qualified first, is elected not to jump off. Margie and Royce will not jump off. So starting us off, here's Kristen Vanderveen and Bull Run's Prince of
Trotting in like they mean business. Kristen Vanderveen and Bull Run's Prince of Peace will be our first to go of 14 that will take part in the jump-off to decide this welcome stake. And it's a big field. It's got some very, very talented horse and rider combinations, but you wouldn't, even going first, rule out this pair.
Oh, no. As a matter of fact, I think her motto is go first, be first. I assure you, everyone is watching this round in the schooling area.
Said, I think, the second fastest time overall in the accumulator, despite an unlucky rail.
Had the whole jump down, flat in the 6 there.
Exactly, just a bit flat, and then thinking about that left-hand turn. Just back themselves off that a little bit. Coming around to the last on course, you can see it's a big, big vertical. It will be a shade under meter 60. So Kristen will set the standard 4 in 34.30, and it is a useful time to watch because even though it's a big jump-off field, Kristen at this stage has no idea how valuable a 4 faults could be, so she will have kept the pedal down pretty much all the way around.
Absolutely. She was really flying at jump 1. We'll see. We'll see how that time holds up.
So Sydney Schulman and Villamora, a double winner at the Washington International Horse Show as a combination 2 years ago indoors. Sid and Villamora become our second challenge and looking for our first double clear.
And Sydney did the 7 to the second jump, which isn't unusual. She often adds with this one. But it's so quick. Oh, and it shifted hard left and had the front rail of the Oxer.
Because all of Sid's body and thinking would have been right, thinking about the next fence. So when the horse moved away from that impetus, it put them both out of balance.
Oh, that was quick too.
31.62 with the 4 faults for Sydney Schulman.
Villamora is such a fast horse. It is always just landing, running.
So 31, that is going to be a very good time. Goes into the lead at the moment, but any double clear would overtake them. Right, we get it for Portugal. Luis Sabino Gonçalves is back. Luis, who had 2 in the first round, he qualified this one. Equivaranda's Algan de Bayard.
His other grey.
His other grey, exactly.
This is a really fast jump off. Everything's sweeping. It's not so, when you don't have to roll back, it's so much quicker.
He just tries to sneak himself on a little bit of an inside line here to Land Rover.
Yeah, he was trying to put a little bend in it so he could be headed left. Not nearly the foot speed of the other two, but clean so far.
And don't rule out the time, actually. 32.98. Luis Sabino Gonçalves is competitive here. Sits between Sid Schulman and Kristen van der Veen's times, but he is our first double clear. And by doing so in a pretty rapid time, he puts considerable pressure on everyone else because they have to work hard now time-wise to be in front of him, and that could easily cost them a rail.
See, he came in on the left and out on the right of that combination. That's the best way to ride those in a jump off like this.
So Hyde Moffat with Donio now for Canada, the first of our Canadian riders. He's been a Grand Prix contender at Caledon and also at Angelstone in recent seasons, and had some very good results at the Nations Cup show at Deerage in 2020.
see what he can get out of this horse's big stride. Yeah, he got the 6. He really covers ground, this horse. This is quick.
So he is nearly a second faster than Lewis.
He really had to dig in. I think the horse was like, really, on this angle?
31.95. It is very, very good. It is a shade slower than Sid Schulman, but as things currently stand, it's good enough for the lead. Hyde Moffat and Donio become our fastest double clear in 31.95. Are we going to see in the 30s? Are we going to see sub 30? If we do, I think we'll be looking at our winner.
Yes. This was quick.
I say he's a
a
big deliberate horse,
he's
and
out of
Hyde
stride,
is
though. Yeah,
saying,
fast.
"Come on!"
Yeah.
He's going, "Really? Do I have to?"
That's great. The replay was fantastic.
So Brian Goutal-Marteau and Tanel Debon, the first to take on 31.95.
She did the 7, and a little slower around.
Right in touch, only 7/100ths between them. It's all going to come down to how brave she can be to the last.
Oh, came up quiet.
32.92, almost exactly 1 second slower. Brian Goutal-Marteau goes into second best. We've got 3 double clears: Hyde Moffat, Brian Goutal-Marteau, and Luis Sabino Gonçalves holding the podium positions at the moment.
Is still the target to catch.
Actually only 6/100ths of a second faster than Lewis between second and third.
Yeah, Brianne was really on it, but then it just came up to it. She needed to add to the last jump. That was what made the difference.
And that time to catch 31.95 set by Canada's Hyde Moffat.
So here's McLean Ward with Casper Van Het Hellehoff. Just remarking how McLean has found his way kind of around the way this horse plays and works through his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, the timing of his release is so incredible. He's wasting no time. I think he's basically inside everybody's tracks.
Yeah, third of a second up. He had an
Wow.
incredible turn back from the triple combination, and he saw a great spot there.
Yeah. That should be quicker. Oh,
no,
gosh, it wasn't.
32.16. He goes into second place. He was a third of a second up on Hyde Moffat coming over the fence by the in-gate, but just went away from him.
I think just after, between the last 2 jumps, yeah. What a great effort, though.
Yeah, 32.16 is going to be 2/10ths of a second behind Hyde Moffat. It is 3/10ths up, 2/10ths down by the end of it.
Yeah.
Half a second is all the margin.
Next up here is Ocala, Florida's Brooke Kemper on the 11-year-old.
So Brooke Kemper and Arpeggi now. 31.95 to beat. 4 double clears so far.
Canada's Hyde Moffat and Don Joe lead the way.
Brooke was great last weekend in the Grand Prix. Not quite fast enough, but she's knocking on the door.
Brooke, who took a good bit of time off from the sport, having been a young rider in the sport at the international level, jumping internationally once again now the last 4 years.
Looking good. She's nice and smooth. You know, smooth as fast.
Half
Oh,
a second
shame.
up, but it goes. So having pulled the rail, the time becomes a little bit irrelevant.
Still, she is so close, just knocking at the door in these classes.
4 faults in 31.77. So a time that would have gone into the lead, and I have to imagine that Brooke actually probably pulled up a little bit in terms of a commitment to the pace, having had the rail 3 from home. So Brooke in 31.77 on 4 faults goes 6th.
Only Irish rider to qualify for the jump
So
off tonight, Andrew
Sid Schulman and Brooke Kemper have both gone faster than Hyde Moffat, who's our leader, but they did so with a rail.
That leading time, 31.95.
Andrew had such a good first round on this horse. I can't wait to see the jump off.
Yeah, Andrew, remember, was the only rider to qualify 2 horses to the jump off. He's just going to ride this one, Darkito.
Playing it just a little bit safe. Oh, wow, made it.
What's he going to do on the way home? He was 2/3 of a second down at the time check. He is going to be close, but behind. 32.86, less than 1 second back with the clear for Andrew. He goes into 3rd best. McLean Ward 2nd. Hyde Moffat still in the lead for Canada.
That moves into 3rd.
Yeah, Andrew started a little bit conservative and then poured it on at the end.
McLean Ward, Ireland into 3rd with Andrew Bourne.
Kat Tyree will join us next on BEC Lorenzo. Trying to catch the time of 31.95. I've seen someone beat that time, 31.77.
So Kat Tyree, US Nations Cup rider.
Rail down there.
At some of the big European shows. Owns and rides BEC Lorenzo. Time to beat 31.95 in our jump off here of our world ranking welcome.
This horse is, you know, he's fast through the air. He doesn't waste any time messing around, you know. He's very efficient.
Yeah, and how many classes over the years have we seen Kat win with the likes of, you know,
Yeah,
Bokai and
Bokai,
Katunji, and but she's going to be another one to just have our time check rail down.
Yeah.
And again, look at the time. It's going to be 8 faults, unfortunately, in 31.98, 300th slower than Hyde Moffat. But with 8 faults, it will go into 9th position.
Right now, that ranks in the 9th spot on the leaderboard. Hunter Holloway, our next.
So our next qualifier was Hunter Holloway with Pepita Gonspita for Hayes Investment Corporation. Hunter will not show. She's elected not to run in the jump off here today.
President's Cup winner aboard his winning mount from last year.
So the defending President's Cup champions from 2020, Todd Minicus and Amex Z, can they win the welcome and try and go for the jump-off format double here this week? Because they'd love to retain that President's Cup. Todd, after so many good results in the Puissance at Washington over the years, to take that President's Cup was a nice bonus for him.
Oh, that was such a fast jump off last year. My gosh. This is quick. Wow, he's got to be ahead, no? Yeah, he's ahead. He just needs to jump this one clean.
The rider who has
break the 30.
won the President's Cup as a World Cup qualifier. He's won World Cups at Bromont. He's won them at Live Oak. He's been a World Cup finalist on so many occasions. Todd Minicus goes into the lead here with Amex Z, a horse that had such a super 2020 to be reserve horse of the year here in the United States of America, and he's not having a bad 2021 either.
No. Second, and the U.S. in the third spot on the podium right now as well.
That was
we'll go to Great
fabulous
Britain
round
and
by
Amanda
Todd.
Derbyshire. Of course, next with Cornwall.
So Andrew Bowens and C Top Blue were going to be the next combination we should have seen based on qualification, but Andrew, as we know, is just going to show that one horse, Darkito, in this jump off. So we go on to Amanda Derbyshire with her own in Gotchman Sport horses, Cornwall BH. What can the British Championship medalists do here against a 29.68 time to beat?
Looks like she's going for the efficient clean, but not for the win today. Horse is jumping beautifully.
So that steady clear, 37.65 will put her on the leaderboard in 7th best of our 7 double clears. That looks like to be exactly what Amanda planned for here tonight with Cornwall.
First of those 3, the USA's Kent Barrington would take the high roads, Austria 2. The leading time 29.68. Todd Minicus with MXC.
Well, now we're going to see some speed.
Kent Farrington, Kent who has won the 5-star in this ring in the past. He rides Austria. Austria's been a big part of his string for the last few years, delivering win after win after win, including the recent 5-star Grand Prix win in West Virginia. That was at the Greenbrier, a new 5-star venue.
Just the way this horse goes makes him look so aerodynamic. Oh, fantastic inside corner. Oh, I just couldn't get all the way up to it.
Just asked a little bit much, and of course Austria is always so keen to answer. A combination that were on the podium in our first World Cup of the season in Thunderbird.
Well, that sometimes happens when you go for the win like that. Here we get the other replay. Just a little off it on the angle. He was like,
I think he's
I don't think so.
I think Kent is just working around the ring in real time to just jump the Land Rover and go out. He knows that, you know, 4 in a time that would probably end up with time penalties as well is not going to do much for him tonight.
Kent was really taking a shot there, and
that's what happens when you take a shot like that, but you got to do it.
Penultimate jump, and saving his horse for more competition here at Washington.
Another British Championship rider, Jess Mendoza, with the 9-year-old Swedish Warmblood Play. This is our penultimate combination to show in the jump-off. So one of just 2 left who can shoot for the moon with Todd Minicus's 29.68 time to beat.
Just is giving it a try, but got a little bit wide after trying to get that 6th done. Now she's lost her rideability just a little bit. Rubbed A off. you know, it takes such an experienced horse to go this fast over such big jumps. It's a young horse for that. But finished very solid.
So just that one down, 33 seconds on the clock for Jess and Play. Horse she took over just the middle of this year from Angelique Von Essen, the British-based Swedish Championship rider.
To challenge that time of 29.68 set by Todd Minikis and MXC. The USA's Skylar Riley with Robin de Montois, owned by Catherine Gallagher. Again, 29.68, the time to catch.
Well, we said if we saw a time under 30
Yes,
seconds, we
you
were
nailed
probably
it.
looking at our winner. We've got that in Todd Minikis. What can Skylar Riley do with Catherine Gallagher's Robin de Ponthul, the 16-year-old now by Elf D'Or? Robin and Skylar could definitely do it. They have won and been placed in some very, very impressive classes. They were on the podium this year, third with a double clear in the Hampton Classic Grand Prix.
I think she's outside Todd's footprints on that turn. You know, Todd was so quick cutting in.
Well, that nails it down anyway.
You were so right about the under 30 seconds.
This is a horse that went and represented the United States of America at this year's Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup Finals in Barcelona. Came back and jumped in recent weeks also at the Greenbrier in West Virginia for a top 10 in that 5-star Grand Prix. So definitely ones to watch this weekend. But 4 faults in 34 here today in our welcome for Skylar and Robin de Ponthul. We'll go 12th best of our 17 strong jump-off field. 14 actually came back to us, but all 17 who qualified for the jump-off will be ranked ahead of those who did not qualify for the jump-off. So 18th position will be that single time fault for Molly Ash-Corley.
Second place honors to Canada's Hot Muffin with Doncho. US rider McLean Ward takes third with Casper Venet.
So it's going to be a win for the defending President's Cup champion, Todd Minikis, and Amex for the United States of America. USA keeping a clean sheet today in terms of victories in our international divisions, with McLean Ward taking the accumulator and now Todd Minikis taking the world ranking welcome. Hyde Moffat in second, McLean himself taking third, Andrew Bournes and Darquito in fourth, Brian Goutal and Tanel in fifth, Lucimina Gonsalves double clear in 32 seconds with Argan de Belliard in sixth. But really impressive there when you look at it for Hyde Moffat, that big deliberate chestnut horse being pressed all the time by Hyde and delivering the goods. Amanda Derbyshire and Cornwall were our slowest double clear, but that seemed to be exactly her plan. Sid Schulman and Brooke Kempers, look at those times, 31.62 and 31.77. They were faster than Hyde Moffat in second. Jess Mendoza, Kristen van der Veen, Skylar Riley and Kat Tyree all showed. Ken Farrington retired in the jump-off, and then we had our DNSs for Margie, Hunter Holloway and Andrew's second ride, Sea Top Blue. And Molly Ash-Corley there with her single time fault rounds out our top 18. So she jumped clear in the first round, but was caught out by the 77 seconds time allowed. Going to throw it to Oliver and Jason, and the bowl audio for the awards coming up as our ringmaster joins us. Centre Arena here at Tryon, and we will be back for more international jumper action tomorrow from the Washington International Horse Show. My thanks to Kim Prince for joining me as my guest tonight. Tomorrow we have an international jumper class and the Puissance powered by Land Rover. And don't forget, you can watch everything else at the show as a live stream broadcaster as well. Do check out the Washington International Horse Show website for all of that coverage, day in, day out, as the weekend progresses here at Tryon for this Washington International Horse Show.
Riders have been competing for the Ben O'Meara Memorial Cup for our competition today for our welcome stake, named in honor of the famed rider Benny O'Meara. And here they come as we welcome back, finishing up in the third position of the order tonight. It was McLean Ward of the U.S. on Casper Vanette Hellehoff. Well, here comes our third, McLean Ward and Casper Van Helloff for the United States. 32.16 was the time on their clear effort. Finishing up in second for Canada, it's Hyde, Moffat, and Donjo. Ariel Grange entry finishing up in third. And nice salute as we welcome back the winner of our class, last year's President's Cup winner, Todd Medicus, and the Bit by Bit Group's MXZ. Todd steps between the Washington Standards. We will ask you all to please join us as we honor the winning nation tonight. If you'd all rise and remove cover for the national anthem of the United States. And we will present now the Ben O'Mara Trophy to Todd Medicus. His name has been on this trophy many a time, as Todd being presented that by Ann Paulson and Vicki Lowell, representing the board of the Washington International Horse Show.
Time after time, I've done my sentence, but committed no crime.
A nice salute, and we'll have our winning rider, Todd Medicus and MXZ, lead us off on the victory lap, our round of honor tonight. Todd Medicus takes the win. Hyde Moffat of Canada with Donjo in second, and McLean Ward and Casper Van Helloff will round out our top three in our welcome stake for the Ben O'Mara Trophy.
And everything that goes with it, I thank you all, but it's been no bed of roses, no pleasure cruise. I consider it a challenge before the whole human race, and I ain't gonna lose. We are the champions, my friends.
Here's the snap. He fades back into the
Isn't it a paradox that the love for this world that gets us out in it sometimes leaves behind the things